Good morning, traders. My morning brief video, real quick. So the trend is down on the bond markets. We are still below this week's anchor to VWAP. So we are on the bearish side of trend. Basically, this is a technical bear flag until it isn't. So heads up, the trend of the week is still very much still to the downside, given what the bonds are telling us early on this morning. Okay. SPY this morning, slightly down from yesterday's closing print, not by very much, but some. We are channeling at the top of this longer term channel right here. Okay, this is a very long term channel that we're basing right at the very top edge of that. It's a very long term trend that they just don't seem to want to get back up on. So that's the basic what's going on here. This was our uh, uh, FOMC, or yeah, the FOMC rate decision. We still got a gap down here that has not been satisfied, and we're churning above that with record high orders that are being thrown at the markets right here, right now, at this price point. So it's anybody's guess which way this is going to go. So just be very mindful of that. I do want to point out that what we're seeing is that, so far, since we're getting to the monthly uh, put wall on the Megatech, they are bouncing right off that monthly put wall. Microsoft did that yesterday, and started to rally right off that monthly put wall, and but we're blowing through the call side walls, uh, especially like Nvidia. It's going blowing right through the call side wall. Palantir blowing right through the call side wall. Uh, so the bias should still be to the upside, given the price action that we're seeing. So be very mindful of that. Um, we have come back down on SPY. We have tagged into our support area, multiple times here, and we have bounced. So be very mindful. It looks more and more like we're preparing to make a move higher here. We are right into this week's anchored VWAP wall. Okay, so this is really close to the Sunday night opening print, and that's where we're currently trading at, the Sunday night opening print, and we just haven't broken through that yet. So, if we get some motivation, well, she's going to go back up. So uh, major wall at 575 area, and we're getting awful close to that. Okay, Qs still got a gap above us on the Qs. Not satisfied. We are above the monthly 485 call wall. So, basically we've went above it here. We back came down. Now we're back above it again, and we've even got more calls built up on the call wall from this breakdown here. And now we're back above it again. So, this 485 was a very critical area that's acting as support. So, and all these calls are have to be getting nervous at this point that we have not been able to come down, and they will start liquidating their hedges, in my opinion, because of the price action we're seeing right here. Uh, so be very mindful. Uh, this gap potentially is going to fill, in my opinion. So be very mindful. And we're currently at this week's anchored VWAP wall. So this was Sunday night's opening print, and we're currently trading above Sunday night's opening print. So that suggests slightly more bullish, despite the little bit of redness in the market. So this looks bullish to me. So, and we did back test where we should back test at a very minimum. Potentially back tested right where we should have back tested. So be very mindful of that as well. IWM, I mentioned yesterday, I thought that they were trying to build a base for the higher uh, scenario. So we got this downtrend right here that we've been trading against. We're still below the October support, so we're still below the uh, uh, October anchoring VWAP. So we're currently are trading below that. So, but I would say, if we can start holding above the 217.60, which we're really close, if we can start holding a print above that, that this thing might just start taking off here. So let's be very mindful of that in our trading today. SMH, I was the way SMH has been behaving suggested to me that this was just a corrective, that we were just in a corrective phase in the markets, and that we're probably setting up for higher highs, because even in this sell down, we had relative strength early on with the SMH, because SMH last Thursday, I think, and in NVIDIA and SMH, they came down into the accumulation zone, and they held it. They held it hard. They held it, and they were leading the way back to the upside here. So both of those were showing a lot of relative strength. Okay, talking about NVIDIA here. Here we go. I was talking yesterday in the chat rooms and stuff. It looks like we're heading back to the 136 test. And here we are. We're up again this morning. One of the strongest stocks this morning. I think there's a really good chance we're going to see 136 today, and then we'll see what happens. We found resistance before at 136, but only time will tell. But there's a pretty good chance that's going to happen today. Apple. So I mentioned yesterday in yesterday's video, we were opening with the bid right at our accumulation zone. That's where we opened up yesterday, and they held it all day long yesterday. So this, in my opinion, is just like NVIDIA and SMH. You know, they're holding the accumulation zone. The dips should be bought on Apple as long as it holds the 120, 223.60 area. Okay. Microsoft. This one here is still, we haven't even got back to the accumulation zone. This here is that new resistance until proven otherwise. It had a green, it should be orange. That's resistance now. But it looks like, in my opinion, us coming off of this put wall. So we came yesterday morning, we were coming in a pre-market trying to break into the monthly put wall, and the markets didn't have anything to do with it. Okay, so we might be putting a bottom in for Microsoft, but we're still not even above this week's anchored VWAP wall. So, you know, pretty much any prints higher at this point above this 415.70 area, you know, is, in my opinion, triggering alongside buy. So be very mindful of that. So 415.70 above that, you're probably triggering at the long side on Microsoft. So definitely keep that one on watch. AMD, very strong chart. I think it's going to fill the gap. So be very careful. Probably going to be, it'd be one of the first ones crossing over the 175 call wall today, in my opinion. So definitely looking for that to cross over its call wall early on in today's session. NVIDIA, like I said, we're blown right through the call wall. As the call wall is actually got over 10,000 contracts sitting right here at the 130 area, and you know those people at some point have to really start covering. You know, so this is a mega positive gamma situation because the huge open interest that's getting blown up there. And Tesla down this morning a little bit. Yeah, still down a little bit here. We have failed the resistance, and even despite yesterday's strength, because yesterday was a fairly strong, you would have thought, excuse me, Tesla would have seen more strength above the 245. But as soon as it got into the accumulation zone wall, okay, then, you know, once it tried to come back up into it, unlike Microsoft, this thing failed. So this is really struggling right here. So be very mindful of that. Google's just got bad headline press. It still has not even come down, in my opinion, to the buy zone yet. So I think there could be some more pain in this one. So be very careful. I mean, the news is bad enough, suggesting a minimum hard test at the 160 area. That's also putting you into the put wall. We could actually be doing a hard test of the 160 area on Google. Meta, still below this week's anchored VWAPs. The start for the anchored VWAP, that's our wall, anchored VWAP wall. So we're still currently trading below that for the week. It looked like we came right into that 600 massive call wall, and that it got rejected hard at that point. So this is another point right here. You know, you would want to basically the 595 area. you really want to stay below the 595 if you think we might have a massive top end for Meta. So be very mindful of that in your trading today. Amazon. I think this is a buy zone. I really do think this is a buy zone that we came off of critical support yesterday. This thing should continue to migrate higher, in my opinion. So be very mindful of that. This is a critical, this was a critical back test that seems to be playing out very well here. Netflix. This was the buy zone, came down below the buy zone, right out of the gate early on yesterday morning, just rocket ship right back up into the call wall. Now this is the multiple time into this call wall. I mean, this could start triggering a massive positive gamma situation. So be very mindful. The monthly OPEX puts us all the way at 740. This is a very bullish pattern, in my opinion. You don't really want to I know it's in a channel and it could definitely fail, but it's held multiple times this price point down here. It looks to me like it's gearing up for the 740 run, in my opinion. Palantir is another one, really massive gamma squeeze at the 39. It doesn't have nearly the open interest as some of the other megatechs, but we are seeing a massive positive gamma squeeze hitting this. Even early on this morning, it just keeps on going there. We got a channel that's trading in, probably going to be up into the minimum, probably to 43, 42.50, 43 today, minimum here for that one. Okay, and in the pre-market this morning here, I did notice another one down here. What is it? It's not even, yeah. There you go. MicroStratus. I actually charted it out this morning, so we came down, we back tested the buy zone, and now we're back up into the monthly OPEX right in the middle of the range, but we're not pushing out above the 200 yet. So I'd be really watching the 200 going into next week for a possible positive gamma squeeze to the upside on that one. So that one's setting up as a potential positive gamma squeeze for next week, in my opinion. And then there's all kinds of news about the China internets here to finish it off. Like FXI, I got that charted out here. So FXI, from my charting, they're trying to support right here. So in my opinion, they may have completed the downside action, and we're starting a consolidation here. So be very mindful here. You do not want to add shorts right here in these China internets. And if you look at EWH as well, same situation here. We did a 50% back test in EWH. We're right at 60%. So this thing, it could go either way right here. Okay. But I would be leaning more that it's going to be supported here, personally. So be very mindful of my analysis. Okay. Other things, calendar-wise. So we do have some bond yields. We got UK. They're doing some bond issues. They've got Germany. They're doing some bond issues in a very bad economy. So be very mindful of some of this stuff happening. These are all going to may have indirect impact into the U.S. Treasuries. So be very mindful of that. Okay. And also we have crude inventory this morning, which that could be crude inventories. Hopefully there's a draw there. If not, that could be inflationary. But we've had a really nice run in crude oil. Typically, what that means is we end up building inventories, and crude comes down. That's what we've been seeing historically. So we'll see what happens there. We do have some Fed speakers here today too. 2 o'clock, I think it was. We had the FOMC minutes out today as well. So be very mindful of that. Where's that at? FOMC minutes from the last FOMC meeting. The minutes are coming out, and we have Japanese PPI overnight. So that could be a risk-off event also into the close. Afraid of what type of data Japan. Actually, you generally get more accurate data on PPI out of Japan than what you see in the U.S. because it is so politically charged here in the U.S. So be very mindful. The Japanese PPI is actually a much more a telling gauge of true global inflation. Okay. Thanks a lot. Hope you like my video. Please like my video if you get a chance. Leave comments below on the YouTube channel if you can. If you see something I didn't say, and retweet me if you get a chance on X or Twitter, whichever way you call it. Okay. Thanks a lot.